do Kid Rock, Bon Jovi, Hank Williams Jr., Martina McBride, Keith Urban, Toby Keith, Dave Matthews, Three Doors Down, Velvet Revolver, Jewel, Bobby Brown, Cisco, Winona Judd, Richie Sambora, George Clinton, and many, many more all have in common? Well, Jerry Navarro, our guest for this episode, bassist, producer, and composer extraordinaire, has worked with all of these amazing artists. He's got quite the story and wants to tell you all about it right here on The Career Musician.
Go for it, man.
Jerry Navarro, welcome to the Career Musician Podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Woohoo!
All right, man.
Dude,
good to see you, bro.
I mean, same here. For those of you who don't know, it might be, for the listeners or viewers, it might be a little bit of a love fest because we haven't seen each other in so many years.
A little bit of a love fest. I like that, man. That's good. Do I look okay? Can you see me, man?
You look great, man. And speaking of looking great, I just have to compliment you on this freaking picture on your website. Oh my
tell me, man.
gosh.
Yeah. Oh,
What?
yeah.
Bro, what a badass picture that is. Dude.
That's funny, man. I'm just trying to join your ranks, man. Like with, social media, it used to be that we just jump in the van and go get a gig to gig, right? And, let the hair out, see me on stage. But now they want to see pictures, man. So,
And that is so true, isn't it? So I'm looking at the picture now, and actually, when we post this episode on YouTube and on socials, I'm going to make sure to use this picture, if that's okay.
Sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's there,
Great. Because it's so badass. You know what you look like? You look like a Mexican drug lord bass player.
That's funny, man.
If the cartel had
it.
a musician, department in it, you would be that guy.
That's great, man. That's great. I still like wearing suits on the gig, and the hair does come out, and yeah, man, we do whatever we got to do to make the gig happen. It feels good sometimes too, right? It's like, it's cool. So
it does.
Whatever, man. I still have fun doing it, so it's all good.
It does. And forgive me, man. I'm just joking around about that cartel stuff. I watch too much Narcos on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's all right, man. That's all right.
Yeah, man. Okay, so great to see you. First of all, there's so much stuff to talk about. Again, the website, folks, if Jerry Navarro, 2 R's, Jerry Navarro, NAVARRO.com. That's right. So go there. I got my iced coffee with some almond milk.
Oh, nice, man. I got this. Well, mine's hot, but it's wheatgrass coffee. It's like a, substitute. Good, for us aging musicians, right?
Yes, right. Exactly. I think you and I are both around the same age, I think.
Probably the same age, man. But, to add to the love fest, I mean, when I got the emails and calls of Micropole, dang, I immediately started thinking about, I think it was maybe Martini's back in Nashville. Was that the name of the club where we played with Chris Blizzard?
Chris Blizzard.
Maybe the singer. You were the band leader, I believe, and I'm pretty sure you were. And it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, we always kicking some butt. I mean, you had the long hair. John Santos was with us playing, percussion, and
that's right.
Man, it was just always a good time. So, my mind immediately went back to those good times and how we used to just like get on. No matter what size the stage was, man, big or small, I mean, always bringing it, always hear the heart, the sound, everything. It was a good time, man, all the time. So
exactly, man. I got to set the stage for everybody listening. So I moved to Nashville in 1997, and I was there until 2005 when I came out here to LA. But Jerry and I met through a mutual friend, John Santos, like you just mentioned, ridiculous percussionist from Cuba, and dear friend of ours. And then I guess, like you said, we were on the circuit. What was cool about Nashville, and I don't know how it is now, I know you left since, and I want to hear all about it. What was cool about Nashville when we were there in our heyday, we were playing kind of everything but country. We were doing all the jazz, all the R&B, all the Latin stuff, all the funk stuff, right? Pop stuff.
Yeah, man.
There was a good scene for that.
It really was. It really was. And it had the players. I mean, you were there. You,
You.
John Santos. Like the crazy thing was that nobody was from Nashville. Everybody came from somewhere else, and it was such a small town at the time that it allowed us to run into each other, I think, and start playing in these circuits and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, I look at all those times. Some of it cutting teeth time, a lot of it good times. And growth, man, nothing but growth. Because
Bro.
even though we had a job to do and we're getting paid, whatever, we're getting paid, it was always school, man. Especially you, you're bad mofo on the guitar, man. So, and a composer, you always brought the songs that had the serious changes, things you had to make you think. It's like that's not your normal Nashville, Tennessee, USA kind of gig. So I
Right.
think that's what was cool, but maybe what we did. I don't think there wasn't a lot of people doing it either, man.
That's right. That's when I started the whole new soul thing, the jam
Yes,
band
sir.
thing.
You sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, and we would just show up at a gig, and it was just I would just book a gig and be like, all right, guys, I have 5 or 6 people coming in to play, and we're just gonna jam. There was no structure.
Mhm.
We would just play. I
Yeah.
might hand out a few charts, but then
Yeah. Yeah.
that was
A
fun.
few hymnals, but no,
Yeah,
just kidding. It was all good, man. It's good stuff.
that was.
Beautiful music. You always wrote beautiful. You probably still do write beautiful music. So not, it's all good.
Thank you so much, and right back at you, bro. What I loved about Jerry, for early on, and you got to picture this. So again, Nashville in the late '90s, early 2000s, it was really branching out into those different genres that I mentioned. And Jerry was the guy that would literally, no matter what the gig was, like you just said, if the gig paid $50 and we were just there to jam, or if it paid, 3, 4, $500 and it was more serious, you always brought the same rig. You would bring a killer Fender electric bass, and you
Hmm.
would bring your upright, no matter what.
Hmm.
And it was like, it was ingrained into you, and to me, that's a form of work ethic that,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
can't, it's either you do it or you don't, and you did it every time.
Yeah, man. Well, like you said, that if this is, I guess, pertinent only to Nashville, maybe even only at the time that we were doing our stuff there.
Mhm.
uh, you just never knew when you were going to get called for a session or be getting checked out for a gig that needed you to be on doubles, right? I remember you always on your nylon guitar and your electric guitar.
That's right.
So, I mean, at least in Nashville, there was always producers and other artists and stuff. Like, oh man, that dude brought his upright, and he brought and electric. Oh, and he's got this too. Oh, dang. Okay, so it's just kind of like job security. If you're gonna be serious about being a musician, I guess it's like bring your tools to the gig, man. Like all the
That's
time. Because I didn't feel comfortable without bringing my upright. It wasn't that the boss asked me or didn't ask me. I still love playing my upright. Like I felt naked if I didn't bring it, along with the electric. So it's like it ain't no skin off my back, man. It's part of the gig.
right. Right. And see, that's so dope. That's a beautiful thing. So, all you bass players out there listening, if you ever get tired of schlepping all that gear, you know what? Don't stop schlepping it,
Don't stop.
because people will notice, right?
Get a wheel for the acoustic bass
Oh, that's
and
right.
put the electric on your back. Maybe if you need two electrics, you do the double bag on your back, and then you carry the small amp in your right hand, and then you're drinking your left hand. You're good to go, man.
I love it. I love it. You got that down to a science, bro.
Science, man. Science. I still do it. I'm at 45 years old now, but I'm still doing it. And an old teacher here in Nashville, he's long gone now, unfortunately, but a guy named Charles Dungy, he's bass player.
Yeah.
And Charles, he played with like the Rat Pack and New York Cat. He was from Nashville, Tennessee, but played with Phineas Newborn, heavy jazz cat. That was one of my upright teachers, but one of the lessons was actually like, boy, you're never gonna get around New York, carrying that upright. You got to get yourself a wheel. That was literally one of the lessons. I always have a wheel on my upright, man. Always. I pop the wheel in there. It's really easy. You put it on your shoulder and you walk. You don't even have to hold it. That's what I mean. It's like it's easier than having
Oh,
something
yeah.
on your back. You know what I mean?
one, yeah.
Yeah. There's just no weight. There's no weight. I put the bass in the bag. I put the wheel on. I lean it on my shoulder, and I walk. So the more weight comes from my electric, and that's why I can carry a small, like Underwood type, single 12 or 10 or whatever for the club, kind of amp, and then your other hand's free to do whatever. So yeah, man, it's
You got your old fashioned in the other hand.
get in 10 minutes before the gig, split 5 minutes after.
See, now that is spoken like a true gig head right there, man. That is a person, a musician with experience.
Well, if it paid a little more, I'd be there an hour early.
Right, that's right.
No, you got to take that with a grain of salt, and then sometimes it's serious. It really, it's like job to job. We've worked for ourselves, right? I mean, essentially, we're kind of sub-hired contractors. So I feel like, I guess for all the musicians out there, if I had anything to say, don't be mad at the bandmate next to you if he negotiated a higher rate. If he talked to the band leader and go, yo, bro, I know it's your gig and whatever, but this is what I like. And you can either say yes or you can say no. But you got to be ready for them to say no. And you'll probably get a lot of no's before you get that yes. But when you get that yes, you'll be cool. You'll be like, cool, I got the hotel I want. I got the money I want. I got my per diem bread that I want. I got my personal car that I want. I got my masseuse for, whatever you want, I guess, depending on the level of the gig,
Right.
if the budget is there, and you didn't ask, shame on you, man, so that's kind of what I figure.
I'm first of all, okay, there's a lot to unpack there. So let's do this. First of all, I'm so glad you went there because these are things that are of utmost importance to everybody.
It's a career musician, right?
That's right. And oftentimes people are scared to talk about them. Not me. You know me. I was the friend, and you're the same way. You and me were always about business. Hey, bro, what's the gig paying? Hold on. Let's talk business. Let's talk to the manager. Who's the manager?
Yeah.
Let me get their info. Let's talk. Because you can get excited, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't meet your criteria, then there's nothing to get excited about. Because if you're just getting by, then what good is that for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
go ahead. Sorry, man.
Oh yeah, no. Well, what you just said a couple things that I really like. First of all, I want to start with this concept. You said, if the musician next to you negotiated a better rate. There's an old, and I don't know if it's true, but there's like an old wives' tale about the Bob Dylan scene when.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he hired, the band and the guitar player and the drummer would talk and he's like, oh, well, what do you make a week? Now, by the way, I believe you shouldn't talk about your salary with other bandmates, first of all.
Yeah, I
Right?
think I agree with that. Yeah.
But the old proverb, if you will, the old wives' tale goes that the drummer and the guitar player were talking and the guitar, I got like $5,000 a week, and the drummer was like, I got 25 a week, And he was like, he was floored, and the whole Bob Dylan thing was, well, why did? And he went back to Bob Dylan. Well, how come so and so got 25? And he goes, because he asked me for it.
Wow. See?
Oh.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I mean, that's it, dude. That's the knowledge dropped heavy. Boom.
Right. Yeah. That's mic drop, guitar drop, bass drop.
That's like feed your kids drop, man.
Yeah.
Right? You start thinking about that. It's like, okay, 25.
Yeah. Right.
But that's all real talk, man. I mean, this is the Career Musician podcast. How did you get to where you got 8 million guitars hanging all around your room, man? You don't get like that by not being a career musician. You know what I mean? So
right. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So getting back to you. Thank you, man. I love this. All right. So on your website, you have some really great information. You got out to Nashville. By the way, what prompted you to get to Nashville? You're not a native of Nashville, are you?
No, actually, funny enough, Southern California, Ventura County, Oxnard, Port Hueneme. So I grew up in LA area. Some of my best friends check this, man. This is crazy. But So, in your formative years when I hadn't left anywhere, I'm growing up, born and raised in Oxnard, California. And it's right in between Santa Barbara and LA, like 20, 30 miles in between,
Yep.
all that. So, beautiful. I still
Beautiful.
I miss
I have a
beautiful.
friend who just bought a place in Port Hueneme. Love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man. 1864 7th Street. That's me. Port Hueneme, California. So that was my home address. Anyway, mama's still there. Don't bother her. She's cool.
That's awesome.
Um, but man, I grew up playing with some really killer like Latin jazz musicians. I learned how to play jazz unbeknownst to me through Latin jazz because I thought they were Latin tunes, and it was the Strada brothers were one of the big uh, I guess Latin jazz people. They were playing with like Cal Jader and stuff up and down the coast. And the son, Cougar Estrada, plays drums, and he was with Los Lobos for a while.
Oh wow.
So, and then the other guy that I used to grew up playing with out there, Adolfo Acosta, still has the second seat in Tower of Power, trumpet player. And we used to play, this place called the Sea Cove Cafe in Santa Barbara, California, just playing, Latin jazz. I'm a kid, man. I'm like just 17, 18,
Yeah.
getting rides to,
Yeah.
to the gigs, cutting your teeth, the whole thing. But I mean, that was the beginning caliber of the people I was starting to play with in California. But I decided to leave. Funny enough, because of there's this, I see if he's around there still, but this guy named Matthew Greif. He was in the California Guitar Trio, teaching at a USC at the time and Ventura College. He was my private instructor. He was actually from Nashville, Tennessee, and I was in Ventura College for 3 years, after high school, and he's like, man, you shouldn't finish your last year. He goes, you should actually travel, go somewhere, study with somebody else, learn something, because the degree is going to be the degree. He goes, go someplace else where maybe you can get into a new scene, meet new people, start a network with different people. And he mentioned Belmont University for me to finish my studies there. And then his mom was like the fiddle player in Hee Haw, something like that. So there was that Nashville, connection. And I had another friend, guy named, really good friend of mine, still a great friend here in Nashville, Steve Spittle, owned like a sound and lighting company in Ventura, California, played in bands and all this. But this was the late 80s, early 90s. He moved to Nashville, and there was one of those times where there's stories of where you can like move to town with your bass or your guitar or whatever, find a gig in a week or two and be on a bus. And that was that dude. Like he was here, moved here with nothing, networked with a few people in just the local coffee shops, found out needed a bass player. His first gig was this country artist named Stephanie Bentley. And then he called me like a few weeks later, Jerry, it's hot here. Like it's happening. You should come down. I said, where? Nashville. Oh, you're like the second person to mention this place. Okay, maybe I should go check it out. So school really brought me to Nashville. So I came to learn. That's why I appreciate playing with people like you and all these other, like, man, there was, people don't realize that. I can't say that maybe still today, I don't know, but during the time that, almost 30 years that I got to be there, man, so many killer players that you can
Right.
learn from and jam with and be on sessions with and go to their house and hang with and learn from. Like it was just a place to like just get your head knocked inside and out. It wasn't a huge city yet, so everyone was still cool with like hanging and whatever.
That's right.
And that was cool, man. That's really why I went there, what I went for. Ended up getting schooled in the business and learning about it and getting called to do things. But
Yeah.
really it was number one was school and learning, honestly, man, because
Wow.
it was always like, hey, the more you know, the more gigs you're going to get. The more styles of music, the more gigs you're going to get, the more stuff you can read. Read that upside down, read it sideways, read treble clef, read bass clef, read tenor clef, read numbers, read.
Yeah.
I don't care. Look at a lyric sheet and be able to come up with chords. Like just
Right.
You know, you're gonna be a musician, be one. You know, that was the attitude, you know.
Dude, right there, that's the clip. That's the clip. That's going to be your quote on social media. That's it right there. I'm going to call this out to Eric G, our operations manager and editor. Make sure you grab that one, G, because that was the clip. You can say that again. You could, if you're going to be a musician, be one. Know how to do everything.
That's it, man. I mean,
Love it.
you asked the question, how did you get to Nashville? It's because I wanted to be a musician. Like I was willing to leave beautiful, beautiful Oxnard, Ventura, California,
Yeah.
Southern California area, man. I mean, it's still beautiful. I still yearn. I beach bum. I grew up surfing and all that. I mean, come on, man. There's nothing wrong with California.
No, it's
I
killing.
just so happened to do my thing in Nashville, man. You know, so there it is. But yeah, yeah, just be, and we still continue to be one, man. That you know, quote: "If you're gonna be a musician, then be one." I mean, it's never stopped, man. It's like it's an everyday hustle almost, you know. But I do it gladly now. After a certain while, I think, at least for me, you get to a certain point to the mountain where you've seen all these certain things, and then you kind of get this wisdom, I guess, right?
That's it.
And then it's like, you know, this ain't no competition.
No.
Everyone's cool. Everyone can play. Like at this
Right.
level,
At this level, that's
if we're talking, then you're here. We're talking because you can play. Now, how you play and what you play, that's up to the gig of the art. It don't matter, man. There ain't no
right.
competition here. Ain't no competition. You can,
Ah,
you know, it's
I
like
love
it's
that. I mean, that's the whole impetus for me doing the career musician because I want to show the next generation coming up. Stop competing with one another. Stop
man,
competing with yourself. Stop hating on each other.
yeah,
Stop
man.
bragging. Stop, putting each other down. None of that bullshit is necessary.
I don't like it, man. I don't
Yeah.
do gigs with other people. I've actually split really good gigs because of that kind of attitude. I mean, and again, you got to be,
Yep.
you know, have the cojones to do it. If you're gonna believe in something, you better believe in it, right? And when you call it, you better do it. You know,
Amen,
like so,
dude. That's something else you said I wanted to unpack.
yeah,
You said you have to be willing to walk away, and that's something I always say. I say here's negotiating. You can sit there and negotiate and go back and forth, but you're really not negotiating until
yeah,
you are willing to walk away,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. And as you can understand, I guess it depends on now as you know we get older. Look at the wisdom thing, I guess. So there's a period of your life where you need to learn. You have to get schooled. You're young. You're 19. You're 25. You're 30. Cool. Maybe you think you know everything, but man, I didn't at 30. I thought I did, but there was still a whole lot more to learn. You know. So it's cool. 35 comes around. 40 comes around. You know, it's like guess what? The career musician thing just happened, and if you blink, you know you'll miss it, man. So enjoy every moment of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Bro, so true. Let me tell you something. I divulge this to my audience because I want them to know, and I'm proud of it. And like, I don't care. I'm 49, so I'm.
wow, you don't look it, man.
Oh,
You
thank
do
you, man.
good.
Thank you. But
Seriously.
so I'm getting close to 50, and it's like you said. You just mentioned those milestones. 30, you think, I got my shit together. I know I'm set. And then you realize by 35, you're like, wait a minute, maybe I don't have it all together.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then 40, you're like, oh, I really don't have any of it together. I'm still learning.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like you say, you start to slow down because you've seen them. You can look at from the top of the mountain and you see it all. And
That's basically it.
such beautiful words of wisdom, Jerry.
That's what happens when you start getting older, I guess, right?
That's right. Thank you for sharing with the community, man. They need to hear it. So listen,
Oh, yeah.
there's something on your resume that is so huge, and I want to talk about it. In
Cool.
2002, Jerry became a core member and bassist for Pit Boss of Muzik Mafia. Break that down for us, man, because that was a huge movement. So please, enlighten. Yeah. I mean, Muzik Mafia, we're talking about, and you heard it in the intro, Jerry has credits, Kid Rock, Bon Jovi, Hank Williams Jr., Martina McBride, Keith Urban, Toby Keith, Dave Matthews. I mean, the list goes on. So please break this down.
My goodness. Is that what I did?
You did it
See,
all.
don't blink, man.
And I only got a quarter of the way through the list, bro. There's still
Yeah.
75% more to go.
Yeah, there's more. There's definitely more, and there's probably more that's not even written down. But I will explain. And actually, it's this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'll give you step two, but that's why I'm in Indiana, and that's what I'm doing. What I'm doing currently, but I'll start with the Music Mafia, and I'll have to say that just maybe, man, I may have gotten a little spoiled by the experience of being in the Music Mafia because I moved to Nashville about late 95, 96. This happened early 2000s. So I was tail end of school, going to school. I was also going to this place called the Nashville Jazz Workshop. I was actually like their founding bass player. So like, man, I never stopped learning. When I was on the road with some country act, I'd get off the road, go to the jazz school. Like just never stop learning. Anyways, there's a lot of great stuff happening, but I never really got so from school to this around town scene, getting called for all the local, wedding stuff. Jerry plays upright and like you can hire him from the cocktail hour, and then you could do the band night. And I'm there for 7 hours and get paid 3 times as much. It's all good, man. Either way, anyways.
That's right. And you were putting the bands together as well. So you were
Yeah,
MCing and the whole thing. Yeah, love it.
all that fun stuff. Everything you know how to do very well too, man. So all good. But so then it went from there. This Music Mafia outfit, I have to explain, was a group of 2 or 3 artists that had record deals. That's very important to understand that they had the deal that everybody wants to seek out as far as an artist goes. Like one was signed to Sony, another to Warner, and the other Universal. And long story short with that, they've deal one turns into deal two, and they get disenchanted with the business, and things happen. They lose money, lose their house, whatever. Things happen. It's crazy. Just horrible stuff that happens or used to happen. They banded together. These artists say, you know what, we're not going to let this happen anymore. We're going to find people that want to do it our way. And I'll fast forward really quick to yes, there's a book out there on Amazon, Music Mafia, the music from the music scene to the mainstream, I think is what it's called. So we really did change the way music business was done for a short period of time in Nashville, enough to where it actually spawned a book, and people wrote about it, Rolling Stone magazine, the whole bit, because basically it's everything that I guess you're probably teaching and everyone preaches about, just being your own boss online with your career and all that kind of stuff. The Music Mafia did it together old school before social media got huge. Like there was one band, I was a pit boss, which meant I was in one band that provided music for 12 different artists. So, we had to learn hundreds of songs, man. So that's what it meant to be like a pit boss. And the more artists that they got onto the roster, it wasn't like they hired more bands, they just told us learn more songs. So that's where like the jazz stuff, or writing charts quickly, or really just remembering the songs in any key, because you never know. Artists could not feel good one night in Colorado and then have to change a key when they go to a dry climate in Utah or something. And it's we lost a lot of players that got vetted into the band that way because they couldn't change keys on the fly.
Okay, pause there. I love this, but what you just said is so important. You said that singers, artists, if they go to change climates and go to a drier climate, they might have to change the key. They might have to bring the key down a little bit. They can't hit those high notes or whatever. And then the musicians who were vetted that couldn't keep up with that on the fly didn't make it. Folks, listen to what Jerry just said. That is huge.
Man, they didn't make it to the point where management was okay with flying them home that minute.
I mean,
that minute.
Come on, bro. That's real deal career musician shit.
And then about an hour later, a new cat from Nashville came in that had it together. And that cat is the one that asked for the private jet, the big money, and I want to sleep in my own bed tonight. So after the show, I'm splitting. That's that dude,
See?
What side of the table you want to be on, man?
Dude, come on. This is the real deal. I love this. I love it. Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
The Music Mafia kept vetting people that way, and it was myself. And you remember Dee Dee Holt?
Yes.
The drummer, organist,
Love deep.
you know,
Yeah.
gospel cat. This guy named Sean Smith on guitar.
Mm.
This cat named Max on sax. Who Max?
Max
He,
Abrams.
yeah, Abrams. He's actually currently with what's it? Man, I can't remember his name. Huge.
Is
Not
it
like
Dave Matthews? No.
no, it's like Los Lobos, but man, I'm
Oh, I think I know who you're
big
talking
old red Cadillac, Cuban Latin dude. I'm
about.
totally dropping his name.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I can't.
Singer cat.
Yeah,
Anyways, a killer artist.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, anyways. So I got to play with a core group of like hardcore musicians that were also into studying and bettering themselves, and we treated the artist music that way too.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept paying us to do more. Like they paid us for rehearsals, they paid us for and so it's a long story, but long story short, man, they eventually hired us like salary with extra pay, like, hey, here's your salary for you to not do what you're doing in town, because we're going to need you for rehearsals for this artist and the radio show over here, and we're going to fly you there, like. And man, they had it all together to the point where, like, my first gigs with them, they bought the bus, they didn't lease it, or they got the driver was on salary, like, so the artist can be the boss. And
Yeah.
they devised a way to pack um the venue before we even got there. They had street teams and stuff like that at local colleges, things you had to do before the internet, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So they
But
had you on retainer. That's a beautiful thing.
retainer plus, get this, man, it was like retainer just so we wouldn't take any other shows.
Right.
First of all, they did, and then they paid for the shows, and then they paid everything else was a la carte, because especially Didi especially was like, he was like, bro, look, the argument, man, and this is for any musician, like, bro, I'm playing with so and so, I'm doing this, I'm studio that, you got to pay me fat to even think about what you're offering.
Right.
And they go, okay, what's that number? And Didi's like, it needs to be like this. And they're like, okay, well, it's got to be like that for everyone. Does everyone feel the same ways? Yeah, if you want us to like just clear our calendar and be ready for whatever you got, it's gonna take, like, we're working every day for sure. And they did that, man. The artists put together, their funds to make that happen. And in the end, it was about 10 to 12 years of my life that
Oh.
uh, organization got up to about $28 million a year on its own, pre-record deal or anything.
Wow.
And then after they decided to get record deals, here's the deal with the devil. It was like, the devil being, whatever, the record labels are like, hey, if you want to know how to turn that 28 million into 280 million, sign with this and that. And then they broke it apart, but we had we had 401ks, man, we had insurance plans, it felt like an actual career, it felt like a job, for about, again, 10 or 12 years. And then after that,
Beautiful.
we got hired by the label,
Mhm.
got paid as like a normal musician per gig, and it slapped down, I think at the time, early 2010, like, 400 or 500 bucks a gig. And we're like, what, you kidding me? And everyone else is like, man, that's what it's been for a long time. And then I think it's gotten even less now. I've heard 250, 200, 350 if you're lucky, per diem, no per diem, vans, you just never know, man, in this day and age. But yeah, so it's changed, but that whole MuzikMafia thing was really just about artists banding and, putting the finger up to the man, taking care of everybody around them, and everybody won until everyone got too greedy or wanted more. It's like, but if you get to the point where you're cool, you got everything you need, and you can think of something that you want, you can go get it, you're cool, man.
You're cool.
Don't want for anything more.
Yeah.
It's like, you're pretty
Don't
cool.
rock the boat. You have to have the wherewithal to understand
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
are
man.
that cool, when you're that set, to realize how fortunate you are, how blessed you are, and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm grateful. I'm here. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I always say, eyes and ears wide open,
There you
mouth
go.
shut. Right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a part of the wisdom of becoming a career musician, I guess, right? So, I
Right.
mean, I had to get fired from gigs to learn. I had to learn the hard way. So don't get me wrong, it hadn't always been roses and all that stuff, but you learn. But that's why I'm still doing it, man. I'm here, So
Amen to that. Man, that is beautiful. Okay, so then again on your website, I got a little sniff of what's going on here. With the frequency spot. Tell us about Indiana and what you're doing, and it turns out that you're doing a very similar thing that we're doing here with the career musician. You're giving back to the up and coming generations. So
that's basically it, man. And that's why, like, part B, how I said earlier, I'm just recreating certain aspects of the Music Mafia that I really enjoyed. So, like, the musicians that I use the same dudes, because you learn the people, you learn how to work with. It's a vibe thing, right? Like, making real heartfelt music is a vibe thing, and everyone has to be cool in the room, man. Everybody, it can be no hangups, and
right.
because it's really vulnerable to open up your heart as a musician and an artist and all that in a room, a bunch of nobodies. So I like to make people feel comfortable, which is what the Music Mafia thing. Well, we saw the same people all the time, the same crew, same musicians, et cetera, engineers, all that stuff. It really becomes a family. So
Yeah.
trying to build a family, and I want to treat them the same way I got treated back then. I want is knowledge. It definitely, we're here to learn. If you're not ready to record, we don't record you. If you're not ready for the gig, you don't do a gig. We teach you. We put you in guitar lessons, piano lessons, whatever your prospective instrument is.
Right.
Vocal lessons, vocal health. The frequency spot does stuff like, mentioned health earlier. Have a salt booth where you get into this booth where if the client comes in from out of town, sinuses a little messed up, you can hear it in the microphone. It's like, what, pop in this booth for 20 minutes, dry things up, totally natural, healthy, come back on the mic, let's see if it cleans it up. Usually 100% of the time, man. If you have allergies and stuff like that, we do natural holistic, like foot bath stuff, and things that just relax the body, detox the body, to really be able to perform, man, 100%. And so
Wow.
that is actually, I have a studio uh, that, is your normal studio, 3 rooms and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? But right next to the hallway next to me is my wife runs the holistic side, and we send the artists over there. We do this, and then we teach people throughout the day. I work with the artists that I'm producing. Like, a lot of them I haven't recorded yet because they're still in the learning phases, in my opinion. You
Right.
know, and
So you're
some of them get mad, but it's like, cool, you can go do it your way, but if you want to be my way, that's the way you came to me, so it's cool.
so
But
I love that. So you're doing it the old school way. You're developing them, which is
there's no development, and man, I have to, because yeah, look, let me just put it to you this way, and I hate to sound like, ungrateful, whatever,
go
but
for it.
man, and I'm preaching to the choir there, bro, because people, after doing it for so many years, and some people dream of having this gig, this killer gig, and some people want to fly in a private jet, or whatever. Well, what happens when you've done those things? What's next? Because, like, I've pretty much, and this is where, take it with a grain of salt, but I've done everything I've really wanted to do, almost even musically, and I still want to learn. I still want to work with artists that have that hunger,
Right.
and I just don't see a lot of that these days. So, like, there really isn't a gig that I can go audition for,
Right.
or a gig that anyone can offer me that really has the criteria that I want. So I basically have to create my gig. So it's not that I'm unavailable. It's just I might not take your gig because it doesn't fit my criteria. But I very much do music all the time, every day. So it's like, and no weekends here. Every day is a Saturday, man.
I love that. It's
And
so
so it's
true,
cool.
man.
Yeah. So, but it's just, I just have to create my gig these days, man. So, like, I have a crew of people. I have a crew of artists that I work with. We're actually doing some recordings here in October, top week of October in Indiana. Got an artist from Florida, two from Nashville, one from Georgia, and two from here in Indy. And see, this is where the Muzik Mafia thing comes in. So all the artists actually kind of play something, right? So basically, everybody's going to be on everybody's session, basically, And then
Love that.
we're gonna do it. We have a gig scheduled. It's the 7th here at this place called the Art Craft Theater in Franklin, Indiana, where we're gonna do what we did here and just go play in front of some people and have a good old time and come back. So we'll have a live recording of everything and a studio recording, basically doing like 7 records in 1 week, and video along with it. So it's just that's the way I want to work, man. At the pace I want to work, because I don't like, you know, tuning vocals for a year, man. It's like I'd rather actually, have you in lessons for 6 months and then do the gig once.
And do it right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Amen to that. Personally, I despise tuning vocals. I try to outsource that to my interns and apprentices. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that.
And it's got to be done. I get it, man. I ain't knocking it. Just believe me, I ain't knocking it. But there's an engineer, because I draw inspiration from a lot of different people. But there's an engineer that's no longer with us. But he Thomas. Dang it, I'm dropping his name right now. But Tommy Dowd. He was the main engineer for like Atlantic Records. He did Aretha, he did Coltrane, he did all that stuff. He invented flying faders. He's amazing dude, brilliant dude. But he was from the tape era, wax to tape to digital. And I like how he put it, man. It's just a different art form. Like, so you either choose to work in the digital art form, or you want to choose to work in the old tape art form, or maybe you want to mix a couple different arts together. But he never knocked, like, you can't do this because you got to do it this way. It's like, no, maybe the music needs that particular kind of technology to make the song happen. So that's cool. Right. But maybe sometimes you need the drummer just to play it once through with no mistakes also, So it's like, it's just a mixture of different art forms, I guess. But yeah, man, I'm very much into trying to teach folks that want to learn what I have to teach. It's not for everybody, right? And that's cool.
Right.
So we're just growing, or I'm growing my own little Muzik Mafia here in Indiana, with a lot of association in Nashville still. I mean, we're doing the same show in Nashville. I record a lot in Nashville. So I guess and this is the crazy part, I guess, but man, it's preaching the choir again. Look at us here. Sometimes, I hate to say it, but some of us cats, musicians, we just don't hang like we used to, or whatever the case may be. We only see each other at the job or on the gig.
Yeah.
Sometimes that may be a year or two in between each other. I'm going back to Nashville this weekend, the gig, and then the next week I got to go do a session. So it's not like I may not live in Nashville, but I'm there like every other week, working, man. And it's like, I guess when you're a musician, right, the world is your home, the world is your stage. It call you anywhere from anywhere to do anything. So after a certain point, man, where does it matter? Why does it matter where you live? Why?
Hence nomad, baby.
There you go, man.
We're all modern day nomads as musicians. Come on.
You got it. You called it, man. That's it. I just took me a while to catch up to you, man. That's all. Yeah, so what? It doesn't matter, at least from where I'm at, and then Indy to Nashville, 4.5 hours or so. I mean, that ain't nothing.
Yeah,
and some people, it's a lot. I do it in a day sometimes, man. I roll early. I do my business. I get back in the car. I come home. It's all good.
Beautiful things. I love those drives, man. That's therapy, man. That's therapeutic time to be alone in the car. Yeah. You can think, you can plan, you can just listen to podcasts or whatever. That's your alone time. I think that's great.
Call Michael.
That's right.
Off the nomad.
That's right. Man.
That's it, man. But it's all music. My wife helps out now. I got a kid at 8 going on 9. He was here jamming on the drums earlier. So, just the cycle continues, man. It's at some point, I guess you're just too far in and you can't do anything else too. So it's like,
that's right. There's no point in turning back now, bro.
No, this is what we're doing, man. One form or another, you got to be adaptable, I guess, right? Just
we're lifers.
Yeah, man, we're lifers, man. We'll be here. Even grayer beards now, we'll be here.
That's right. So where can we find this frequency spot? Do you guys have a website?
Not right now.
Okay.
Just with my website at the moment, that
Okay.
we've been up and running for like the last 6 months, but
Beautiful.
quite honestly, I will tell you in full disclosure, because it's for the career musician, I guess, folks to know.
Yeah.
I just chose to. Nashville's always been kind of like a lab. Like, you can be famous in Nashville, but no one ever hear about you outside of Nashville.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's also good if you're not ready. So some of these artists, I was like, there's no reason to put out the website with this music and these demos and the way you got it now, because it just ain't together. Like, you need to, if you want to say something, just wait till you're ready to say something. So I've chosen to, and they have chosen to listen to my, production idea and say, let's develop and let's work and let's record. So yes, I meet with my artists regularly every week, but is there anything out there yet? They're not ready, man. They're
I
not ready.
love that.
So it's like, when I feel like, and we all feel like we have some magic to share,
Mhm.
you'll see a whole lot of stuff come out at once, because I've been capturing data for the last 6 to 8 months. So
Ah,
I got it, but you're just not gonna see it yet until I feel like it's ready to be seen. And that's just the way we've chosen to do it. So
I love that, man. Well said, brother. Well said.
well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is killer. I'm so excited for you. And after the podcast, I want to talk to you on a personal level. Maybe we could figure out a way to work together. I think there might be some.
Well, it's gonna happen, man. This is the
Yeah.
first of many, because it's just, that's the ebb and flow of the music business, ladies and gentlemen. You always come back to the people that kick some serious butt, and Michael Poe was one of them. So why wouldn't we want to do something together,
See, and Jerry Navarro, this coming from you, ditto, right back at you, dude. Come on.
man? It'd
You
be
know what?
fun, right? I mean, it's just, come on.
Man, it's gonna be a blast. All
That's what excites me. See, because we're not talking about what gig, how much. No, no.
right.
It
Nah,
should be the excitement of getting together with a bro or a sis that can just play, and that connection should just spawn your love for what you do, your career as a musician. I mean, that's really what drives me. Otherwise, the business would drive you mad, right? But like, I still love playing, especially with the best of the best of the best. So if I have to say no to some gigs to get to those gigs where I feel like the cats are a better caliber, then I I recommend some cats, man. Like, I share the love. I don't hide it. I
that's
share it.
right.
Bro, call this cat, call this cat, because then they end up calling me back, and it's a reciprocal love kind of thing, man. My best friends are bass players.
Right. That's right.
And drummers.
Yeah. That's funny. I always had this thing where it's like all my friends are drummers. I know so many drummers that I'm tight with. It's like, and I think it's because I was always a very rhythmic kind of guitar player.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
liked playing rhythm. So
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, because you could. See, not everybody could. So.
That's awesome. Hey,
Yeah,
I always like to ask all my guests this. How do you define success? Because, everybody has a different viewpoint of it.
yeah. Well, that's the answer, man. Everyone has a different viewpoint.
Ah, I love that. Look at that. You are the quoting king. I love it.
I mean, I'll give you maybe just two examples. So I know of a lot of people in Nashville, Tennessee, and take this as an advertisement, musicians out there. If you ever think about moving to Nashville, if you want to, if this is your thing, Lower Broadway. Broadway right now, man. Like, seriously, you can play cover tunes from 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning. It's like shift work, 3 4 hours. A musician can walk away making $1,000 a day. Just in tips, and the club pay isn't that great. 40 50 bucks, but it's a numbers game. You got to do like You got to be in the circuit, and a lot of cats are playing it 6, 7 days a week to where they don't even want to leave their gig and go do a road gig anymore, because road gigs paying 250, 350, they're making $1,000, $1,200 a night playing cover tunes, and probably playing the tunes that they were going to play with that artist that they got called for. And the band that's playing the Broadway gigs probably way better than the cats on the road because of the pay scale, right? So you're not going to get the best cats on the road anymore. So if, I'm just using an example, if your dream is to play a lot of tunes and like show up to a gig like a job from 10 a.m. to say 8 p.m. every day, or 4 or 5 days a week, you can do that Lower Broadway and support a family. You really could, you know. But that's it. Like, but I would say that. I mean, it could be, you could be a grocer, you could be a gas station attendant, you could be whatever it is, because any kind of job that pays about the same, I would say, why is it any different than any other job? You have to put in the same amount of hours or whatever. But if that's your dream, then cool, you've reached it, right? You've reached your dream. So to those people that want that or are there, I know cats that are there that will not do anything else, man, because they achieved Mecca. They're there. They're making money. They're playing the gig. It's exciting, man. If you hadn't seen or seen Lower Broadway or heard about it in the last little while, it's like playing Vegas every night. Like,
Wow.
it's better than a multi-million-dollar road gig that everyone has in-ears. Technology is ridiculous. Lighting
Really?
show, man. The clubs do it to that level because it's Nashville, Tennessee.
So they had to bring it up. Yeah.
They had to bring it, man. And as a result, like, the city is into it. There's a lot of superstars that own a lot of the clubs. Kid Rock has a club. I heard Justin Timberlake just invested in a club. I mean, you go up and down that whole place. Every country music superstar, John Rich owns a club. He was one of the Muzik Mafia people. So it's like, it's all music. You can do it if that's what you want. Cool, man. It's there. Nobody, but I actually did it, and it's not for me. Like, I tried it. It's cool. The money was cool. It's not for me. What
Yeah.
I'm doing now is what I'm trying to achieve is my Mecca, so to speak. And it's weird, man, because I had it with the Mafia, and then the real music business kind of was like, I'm not into it after doing it for a while. And then I was like, now since the real music business isn't going to offer me what I want, I just have to create it. So I feel like a college kid again, man. Like, I'm on the search, I'm learning, I'm looking for the best cats. I'm trying to play with the best cats. That's why I was like, dude, I get to play with you again. It was a
Man.
pleasure. So
Ditto, bro. I'm so excited that we reconnected. Okay, first of all, that was a wonderful paradigm on that to hold. So thank you for sharing once again. I something else I want to point out. You said you feel like a college kid again. You feel like you're starting a whole new journey, and I can identify with that so much. I much like yourself. I was with Babyface for 12 years.
yeah, man.
And I was his music director for 10 of those 12 years. And
Wow.
I learned so much at such a high level. And
Hmm.
I learned about, like you said, the business and the inner workings, but I also learned about, the sociology of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
And
man.
that's
Yeah.
the best part is when you get with people that you really enjoy being with, and there's no ego, right?
Hmm. Absolutely, man.
He's a great example. This guy has had, hundreds of hits, and he's still writing on a daily basis to achieve more hits. He
Yeah.
he never once said, "Oh man, I arrived. That's it. I'm done. I'm cool. I don't need to." He never once said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so when you see that, it gives you a new idea. But on the flip side, having done a lot of things and achieved a lot of things, like you said, it's almost like, well, we're kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to go play a gig with anybody right now. I want to do what I want to do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I think that also is a very freeing headspace to be in, right?
Yeah, I think so, man. Maybe it comes with age, maybe it comes with experience, but yeah, it's like that's why seriously, I could be in a room with 20 other bass players and you're probably better than me, but what does it matter, man? It's like it's my gig, you know?
That's so funny you say that because I have no desire to be like the best bebop player or the fastest shredder or the
Yeah.
the hottest chicken picker. I'm just like whatever. Like do
Yeah,
you, I do me.
even though you are, but
No, no, there's cats that can play circles, man. And like you said, bro, come on. The internet and social media, it brought out these monsters out of the woodwork. You scroll through Instagram or YouTube and you're just like, how the hell did they do that?
yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of people just ridiculous. This is great, man. That's great. I mean, different spirits connect with different people, and
That's right.
that's there's so much out there for everybody. It's
That's
just
right.
support whoever you love, man. That's all there is to it.
Amen to that. I like that. That's your words of wisdom. Would you add anything else to that? Support who you love. I like that. But I mean, you've dropped a lot of wisdom in this. Oh, seriously, you have. You have.
Man, that's just it. I mean, if it's wisdom, it's just getting our butts kicked in the music business. So I'm just telling you like it is, right? This is what happens to you. This is what you might say at 45 years old if you lived in Nashville, Tennessee, and got to work at that level, right? Whatever that means. And, that's working for labels and doing label records and getting paid like that and treated, whatever. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. It's a broken record here. I'm sounding like a broken record, but
I
it's
love it.
just once you do it, man, you're grateful. It's cool, and I think at this point it is back at the teaching thing. It's like, well, I mean, I had mentors. I start thinking about it. A lot of the guys that were the cats or had passed on, man. Maybe you might remember some of these people like Jackie Street was a bass player in
Oh
Nashville.
yeah, yeah.
PCM cat that was super, super cool. Like he was always helpful getting me gigs.
Wow, what a
Um,
sweetheart. Yeah, yeah.
remember that cat, Chris Kent,
Chris
good
Kent. I was just gonna say. I know.
yeah,
Oh man.
another fellow that passed away too early, man. Funky bass player.
Oh
But
man.
this was the Nashville at the time where like those guys, but Chris Kent, Jerry, I got 3 gigs tonight and 2 sessions. Can you set up my rig at this club and that club? Play my first set over here because I'm gonna be late from there, and boom, boom, boom. And that's how I kind of got into like, well, Chris ain't gonna make this gig tonight, Jerry. So you just finish it. It's just I
Wow.
did that for Victor like once or twice, man. Believe it or not, Victor Wooten. I sub, not subbed. I was his stagehand. We did a few gigs in Atlanta and it was like a Georgia tour. I got to meet Kurt Story, his sound guy now, all that stuff. So you just never know, man, right? I went out there to carry gear, yeah, play, carry, whatever, just do it all, man.
Say yes to everything, and the world is your oyster.
Yeah,
Opportunity will find you, right?
yeah, man, it'll find you. Just enjoy it. So I said, don't blink, enjoy it, say yes, do it with a grateful heart,
Uh,
and if you don't like it, speak up, man. Speak up, be nice about it if you can. If
right,
not, walk away, man.
right. No, that's right, and you're right because I had to learn that too. A couple times I spoke up in a nasty way, and I got
I've done
my
it
ass
too.
handed to me.
Yeah, yeah. That's how you learn. That's where the wisdom comes, I guess. I've had it happen to me too. So yeah, I was that guy where the label was like, "Hey, we can call a cat to this session in about an hour. You either do it or you don't."
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it.
that's right.
Anyway,
All
it's
right,
all good, man.
you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Yeah, yeah. Let's try that.
All right, here we go. All right, we're gonna go fast though. So
Hey, let me
try to
get my
think fast.
drink.
Yeah, think fast on your toes.
Okay,
Get the proverbial shoulder rub like you're a boxer. Here we go. You ready? We're going in.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Top 3 artists in your playlist.
Oh man, that'd be Sly Stone. That'd be dang Aretha Franklin, and good old right now I'm listening to Brad Meldau.
Love it. Drink of choice.
Red wine.
Friends would say you are.
Crazy.
I love that one. Last concert you attended but did not work.
Dave Matthews Band.
Favorite food.
Mexican food.
Instrument you wish you played.
Piano.
Song or band that changed your life.
Ooh, man, song or band, really quick. Tower of Power.
Favorite city.
Oxnard, California.
Dream collaboration. You've collaborated with a lot of greats, but what's a dream
Yeah.
one?
Me, you, and Bootsy Collins.
Oh, that's gonna be so funky. And I just interviewed Joseph Wooten, so we got to add him to the mix.
No problem. I just texted him 2 days ago. He was just here in Indy. So yeah. No, see, we can make it happen, man.
There you go. There you go. Hidden talents.
Oh man, I'm a good cook.
Last movie you saw in the theater.
Ooh, that would be Sonic the Hedgehog.
Wow. Name 3 tour essentials.
3 tour essentials.
Yep, can't leave home without it.
Okay. Cash, extra clothes, and some ibuprofen.
Good ones. Electric or acoustic?
Acoustic, in case power goes down.
Love that. As entertainers, we entertain all the time, but what entertains you, my friend?
Time with my family.
And peace. I love that. Finally, the proverbial drum roll here, right?
All right.
What would you do if you weren't a career musician?
Ooh, if I wasn't a career musician, I would be a pilot.
You know what? You would be the most fun pilot. Because I could picture it right now. You'd be talking to the passengers all the time. All right, folks, we're coming around the bend on the Ventura coast over here. You can see the little house where I grew up. Everybody wave hi to my mom.
She's out there cooking some tri-tip right now. You see the smoke? That's my house. Yeah. No, exactly. I actually started taking flying lessons when I was a kid. I actually got too expensive, or it was going to be, like bass lessons. And I did that, but I still fly like RC planes and helicopters because flying is the other passion that I do. I guess secretly, I guess I should have said that, but I don't get all the time in the world to do it, but it is something that I've done just about as long as I've played music, man. Just flying. So I love flying. Yeah,
that's killer. Maybe you can help squelch this thing for me, man. I hate turbulence. What's your take on turbulence, bro?
Well, you're not gonna die from it, and that's one thing, and the other thing is just get a private jet, man. You get there quicker.
That is the best. See, that's another quotable piece. I love that's the best answer.
And just really quick, like you'd be surprised because I've done the numbers, like I'll just throw them out there really quick. So if you're putting a tour together, yeah, you might have 6 cats in the band, 2 crew, whatever. You're buying a bunch of tickets. You're spending 40 G's, right? For those of you who don't know, because I priced it, you could get a private jet, timeshare, 10 G's each way, but that's 20 G's, so that's half. And you can fly as many people that the plane will hold. So essentially, you could, if you did your due diligence in your business, right, you could afford to look flashier, sleep in your own bed and make more money because you're saving money because you're not giving Southwest $400 or $500 a dude, each way and connections and whatever. So yeah, it has nothing to do with music, but if you sit down and do the math, you could probably book yourself a private jet, and I actually do that all the time. Like I do that for myself. If I think I'm going to fly with 4 or 5 people, I just say, well, how much money would we spend on buying tickets? So well, let's find a private, carrier really quick. And man, honestly, more than likely you will find a private carrier that is willing to negotiate with you and take you got 4 G's. Yeah, I'll fly you to Georgia, whatever. No problem. To and from. Like, cool. Yeah. Wisdom, right?
No, that's wisdom. And that has everything to do with music because it's the business side of music. And it's working smart, not hard.
Yeah, you make more money, and then we can play more together, and then there's more food at the session, more red wine, and that's how I like to roll, man. It's a controlled party. We're trying to release the spirit of goodness, man. You know, everyone's got to be fed. Always, everyone's got to feel good.
Right.
Everyone's got to feel like they're welcome. I mean, what gig, is going to give you all those parameters without you making it, yourself, so to speak. So that's kind of probably where we're both. I mean, look at you, man. You call me this thing you made, you put together. You've been doing this for a while now, right? How many years you been doing this, man?
Well, I started it 7 years ago, but kind of unofficially. I was still on the
Wow.
road
Okay.
with Face, and I was interviewing people while on the road on my iPhone, literally. You know, like
Nice.
I got an episode that I interviewed Dougie Fresh backstage one night.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Or I would be on a film session. Like I did a film session with John Powell, the music
Woo.
composer out here,
Nice.
for Ferdinand, the animated movie about the bull. And I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, John, we took a now John's place in Pacific Palisades. His studio is incredible, Five Cat Studios. But I'd be like, I said, hey, John, we're taking a lunch break. Like we would take an hour lunch break every time I worked with him, and he has chefs that cook fresh lunch. It's like, like everything you're talking about.
Mhm.
And we were sitting there. It was me and two other guitarists here in LA, like world-renowned, amazing flamenco guys, and I was just gracious enough to be in that little guitar trio for that day. So it was just the four of us.
Wow.
I said, "Hey, John, do you mind if I just, ask you a few questions for the podcast?" And literally, I record. Not at all, man. So it's like, so that's how I started it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and then when the pandemic hit, roughly 2 years ago, we got serious, and we're gonna hit 150 episodes by this New Year's.
Wow, man. Okay. Nice. Well, congrats. There you go, man. It's the way you
No,
do it. It's
thank
the
you.
way
I
you
am
do it.
so glad that you are part of it, and I can't wait to figure out ways that we can work together. So,
Oh, we'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen.
Jerry Navarro, woohoo!